Hey, it's Data Steve. Please like and subscribe. Please click on the Deck Heroes icon. Click on subscribe. It's 100% free. Blood in, blood out. And don't forget to click on the notifications just so you don't miss any amazing content. Okay, so if you look to the right, it's President Trump hosting a bilateral meeting. That's a meeting between two parties, in case you didn't know, with the King of Jordan and the Crown Prince of Jordan, aka his son. Let's go.
I think one of the things that we can do right away is take 2,000 children that are either cancer children or in a very ill state to Jordan as quickly as possible, and then wait for, I think, the Egyptians to present their plan on how we can work with the president to work on Gaza challenges.
So you
I want to tell you that, excuse
me.
me, wait, just please. I didn't know that, what you just said, 2,000 children with cancer or other problems, and that's really a beautiful gesture. That's really good, and we appreciate it. And we'll be working on the rest with Egypt. I think you're going to see some great progress. I think with Jordan, you're going to see some great progress. Three of us, and we'll have some others helping, and we're going to have some others at a very high level helping, and the whole thing will come. It's not a complex thing to do, and with the United States being in control of that piece of land, a fairly large piece of land, you're going to have stability in the Middle East for the first time. And the Palestinians, or the people that live now in Gaza, will be living beautifully in another location. They're going to be living.
Just very quickly, so it's 2,000. There's between 1.8 and 2.2 million people in Gaza. He's talking about what's on the table at the moment is 2,000 children. You can assume there's going to be obviously family, well, hopefully families that go along with those children in order to, make sure that they're all right. You'd think so, wouldn't you? Not guaranteed, but you'd think so. So they've either got cancer or seriously ill. Okay, so now we're moving on to Trump doubling down on that. He's going to take over that land. He's going to take over that land, formerly known as Gaza. Goodness knows what they're going to call it, but probably not Gaza. He's talking about how nice it's going to be. He's also talking about, how the conditions of the Palestinians once they've gone. He doesn't know where they're going to be, by the way. He doesn't know where they're going to be. Just as a quick aside, if any country right now got parachuted 1.8 or 2.2 million people right now, how well do we think those countries are going to be prepared? Do we think there's any country around the world that is prepared for 1.8 and 2.2 million people? There you go, right now. Exactly.
Safely. They're not going to be killed, murdered, and having to leave every 10 years, because I've been watching this for so many years. It's nothing but trouble. Everyone's been...
Just a second. They won't have to be killed or murdered every 10 years. Okay, so say again, 1.8 or 2.2 million people, right? Just say for the sake of argument, now that he's raised it, anything happens in that new Gaza, whatever the new Gaza is going to be, once it's taken over by the Americans, or anything happens in Israel, no matter where those people are, but especially if they're on your doorstep in Egypt, or especially if they're on your doorstep in Jordan, do we think there's either two options, right? I'll give you two options. A, they still get blown up, or B, they don't get blown up. Now, what do you think is going to happen? But also to follow on from that, if you were Egypt or if you were Jordan, right? Would you want your country being blown up under suspicion of housing those people which are a threat to, I don't know, Gaza or Israel? Would you want that? Exactly. Now, so let's just say over a period of time, this is just one more question. So say over a period of time, integrate into the societies of those countries, perfect integration. That's not what I'm saying is going to happen for many reasons, including religion and culture and all that kind of, anyway, all those reasons. But to say if it did, does that mean, other than that block that's been built up for the Palestinians, and which may or may not be under suspicion, everywhere in the country is now potentially a new threat, which may actually make that country under threat? There's 1 million people in that country. Is that country not a threat to Gaza and Israel? And if you were that country, why would you ever take that on? No matter what bait they kind of dangle in front of you. But bear in mind, in that first press conference, Trump said that America ain't going to pay for it. The very wealthy people in the region that will pay for it. So, what possible incentive would you have to take that on? What, you're going to take his word for it that he's going to let you off? Yeah, you got 1 million people there, a potential threat to American land in the Middle East. You gonna take his word for it? Come on.
Killed, they're being robbed. It's like living in hell, and they're going to end up having a great home, great families that don't have to get mugged and killed and beaten up and harassed by Hamas and everybody else. And I know we'll be able to work something. And what you just said about the 2,000 is fantastic. It's so beautiful. It's music to my ears. But we're going to be able to work something, and I know we'll be able to work something also with I believe, not 100%, but 99%. We're going to work out something with Egypt.
But Mr. President, your election campaign. Mr. President, how is the U.S. going to own Gaza? Your White House has been clear. Taxpayer dollars won't be used for this. So
No,
what money are you going to use to buy Gaza?
We're not going to buy anything. We're going to have it, and we're going to keep it, and we're going to make sure that there's going to be peace, and there's not going to be any problem, and nobody's going to question it, and we're going to run it very properly, and eventually we'll.
Okay, they're going to acquire the land, they're going to run it, and nobody's going to question. There's certain layers to that, right? So they're just going to occupy that land, and he said nobody's going to question it. So well, who's going to do anything about it? NATO's going to do something about it, really? And what have they done about it so far? What, they're going to take on America? Really? I don't think so. That's more or less what he's saying, but could be right.
Have economic development at a very large scale, maybe the largest scale on that site, and we'll have lots of good things built there, including hotels and office buildings and housing and other things, and we'll make that site into what it should be. And the people from Gaza who wouldn't be able to be there for years, because you're talking about just to get it and prepare it and to take care of all of the problems that currently it has, as you know, tunnels, and people are in those tunnels, and you have some good people and some bad people, and you may have hostages right now. You know, you have the hostages possibly there. They don't know where they are. And, you know, I have a Saturday deadline, and I don't think they're going to make the deadline personally. I think they want to play tough guy, but we'll see how tough they are. But it's going to be a wonderful thing. It's going to be wonderful for the Middle East. I think it'll turn the Middle East. I think you're going to have peace in the Middle East. You're going to eventually have peace in the Middle East.
To see how they just built that straw man. So this arbitrary deadline, that all these prisoners are released, obviously only on one side, not on both sides. On one side they're all released. Otherwise, some really bad things that happen, and apparently it's Palestinians that want to play tough guy. I say Palestinians because it's everybody that's going to get blown up, right? It's everybody that's going to get blown up, right? So he's building this straw man, which kind of justifies it, but that's all it is, a straw man.
Couldn't this deadline risk undermining the talks that you're having with the king today, and risk the kind of wider peace that you're trying to?
Because we're not talking about a big situation. We're talking about something that can go very quickly. It's going to go quickly. It's not going to take a long time, okay? That's not going to take a long time. You know bullies? You know what a bully is, right? You know the bully, I've always, and I found it throughout my life, a bully is the weakest person. And they're bullies. Hamas is bullies. The weakest people are bullies. You know that, right? All right, go ahead.
Mr. President, you were saying that Palestinians will live somewhere
Bullies. Classic projection, my friend. Classic projection.
else safe. Where exactly do you want them to live?
Well, it's not where I want them to live. It's going to be where we ultimately choose as a group. And I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Jordan. I believe we'll have a parcel of land in Egypt. We may have someplace else. But I think when we finish our talks, we'll have a place where they're going to live very happily and very safely. And, you know, don't forget, they only want to be on the Gaza Strip because they don't know anything else. They never had an alternative. And they don't want to be on the Gaza Strip, but they have no choice. They have to be. And they're being killed there at levels that nobody's ever seen. No place in the world is like as dangerous as the Gaza Strip. They don't want to be there. They have no alternative. When they have an alternative, not one person will want to stay where they are. Nobody wants to stay there. They're living in hell. It's a death trap.
Mr. President, how do you know that the Palestinians don't want to leave their land? Some people say this is ethnic cleansing. You won't be able to force them to leave their land.
We're moving them to a beautiful location where they have new homes, where they can live safely, where they'll have doctors and medical and all of those things. And I think it's going to be great. Yeah, any questions?
King Abdullah, what do you think about
Dodge that ethnic cleansing technicality.
the U.S. taking over the Gaza Strip? Do you want to see the U.S. own the Gaza Strip?
Well, I think, as I said earlier, the President is looking at Egypt coming to present their plan. As I said, we will be in Saudi Arabia to discuss how we can work with the President and with the United States. So I think let's wait until the Egyptians can come and present it to the President and not get ahead of ourselves.
And is there a parcel of land, Jordan, that you're willing to have Palestinians?
Well, I think what we said, I have to look at the best interests of my country. I think the President is very happy that we do this thing with 2,000 children as quickly as possible. And again, I believe that the President is looking forward to getting a group of us Arabs here to discuss the overall plan.
And last question, the 2,000 children, are those from the Gaza Strip?
Absolutely, from the Gaza
Are
Strip.
you willing to change your mind, Mr.
That's from the
President?
Gaza Strip, the 2,000.
Are you willing to change your mind if you hear the Egyptian and the Arab land end of the month? If they present you something different, are you open?
I think we sort of have gone down the line. We know pretty much what is going to be presented. And I think it's going to be something that's going to be magnificent for the Palestinians. They're going to be in love with it. I did very well with real estate. I can tell you about real estate. They're going to be in love with it.
But Mr. President, does it concern you?
The question was, let's just say that what you think is going to happen doesn't happen. Are you potentially going to change your mind? I think the answer was no.
That moving 2 million people from there.
It's a very small number of people relative to other things that have taken place over the decades and centuries. It's a very small number of people. And they're living a terrible life. Look at the way they're living now. Nobody's living like that in the entire world. They're living under buildings that are mostly fallen down and will continue to fall down. And they're living under. People are being killed every day. The conditions are horrible. There are no conditions anywhere in the world that are worse than the Gaza Strip right now.
But don't you have concern that you can?
I don't know, Ukraine might be in there. I mean, we don't. It's just throwing these things in the air, and not just Ukraine. Obviously, there's going to be. We're talking about the world now. There's nowhere worse in the world. It's definitely very, very bad. That's for sure. But again, he's speaking on behalf of the Palestinians. The Palestinians wasn't even in the previous press conference. They've been in no conferences, to speak for themselves about what they actually think. But of course, this orange man knows better.
You said all hell will break out if all the hostages are not released on Saturday. What did you mean by that? And are you encouraging Netanyahu to walk away from this deal? Have you talked about this with him?
So I've looked at at the condition of people coming out of the hostage situation, and it's horrible. I looked at the before and after yesterday. 3 young men. One is dead now, as you know. The older gentleman who died, which everybody said he was alive and well, he's dead. But the 3 young men, and I looked at them from a short while ago, and I looked at them now. They're emaciated. They look like Holocaust survivors. They looked. They'll get better, but they're in rough shape. They were treated really badly, and we've heard things from them since. And I think the reason that Hamas is playing so cute is because they saw the reaction to these 3 people that came out, and the other ones. Look, the one young lady had her hand blown off practically, and they were not in great shape either. But she's missing her fingers and a big part of her hand. You know what she did? She was stopping a bullet that was aimed at her. She went like that, and it blew off her hand. Now, I think they want time, because I think the people that they have living are in such bad shape, because they're sending the most healthy people out, because they don't want to send the least healthy people out. And there was an uproar when they saw the people from yesterday. So these people are, so I don't want to do 2, and then we do another 2 in another week, and then we do 4 in 3 weeks. No. They either have them out by Saturday at 12 o'clock, or all bets are off.
Mr. President, would you still...
Yeah, now the question was, what does that mean? That's for clarification. Well, yeah. Well, we don't want them like dribs and drabs. So if they don't send them all out, all bets are off. I mean, wow. And it's scary because, as I say, there's already been 60,000 dead. 60,000 dead. Minimum. And the average age in Palestine was under 18 before the war. Goodness knows how young it is now. Goodness knows how long it is now. I mean, not only from the bombs, but the lack of medication, all the hospitals being blown up. Goodness knows what's going to happen on Saturday. Out of humanity, I fear for everybody. We'll see.
Consider withholding aid to those countries if they don't accept your plans to accept...
Well, I don't want to say that, because we've had such a good relationship, and we're doing so well just in the short time that we've been talking. I mean, the king just made a statement. I didn't ask him to do that, about literally saving 2,000 young children from the Gaza Strip. We didn't know about that. You didn't know about that. Nobody did, except for the king and his son. I assume you told your son, right? And I just thought it was great. No, I think we'll do something. I don't have to threaten with money. We do. We contribute a lot of money to Jordan and to Egypt, by the way, a lot, to both. But I don't have to threaten that. I think we're above that. I do believe we're above that. So.
Would you consider other countries, not Jordan and Egypt? There was talks about Indonesia, Albania, other places.
Yeah, sure, we would. And we have other countries that want to get involved. We have a lot of people that want to get involved. There's a great sense of wanting to help the Palestinians. There's a lot of good countries out there, people that rule those countries with big hearts, and this gentleman is at the top of the list.
But if they don't want to leave, how are you going to force them, Mr. President?
Oh, they're going to be great. They're going to be very happy.
Your Majesty, should we expect that the Jordanian response will be part of a coordinated Arab response?
The response will be from a multitude of countries, Arab, international. I know the.
Just a second. If they don't want to leave, then how are you going to force them was the question. That's a brilliant question. That's a brilliant question. Can you imagine troops on the ground, like dragging people along? I mean, what they're going to do? Drag them in? What are we going to see on after Saturday? Is it going to be bombs again, or is it going to be literally trucks pulling up to drag people in? But I don't think that America's got any kind of appetite for any form of risk, really. So probably be the bombs, right? Don't know. Hope not. Hope not. See the difference between the king of Jordan and Trump is that even at the superficial level, the king of Jordan had a plan. It's only for 2,000. I mean, that's generous. They're not his people. He's talking about the kids. You know what I mean? So it's very politically safe. You know what I mean? How many people are going to be injured after all this time of war in Palestine? But at least he can save a token amount of kids. Some form of plan. What plan has the orange man got? He's got wants and he's got demands. And the questions about whether he's going to withhold aid, you know what I mean? If people don't jump through the hoops, well, probably. We'll see.
Europeans want to step in, and again, we'll probably have to look to the help of the United States to make sure that COGAT, which is the clearing agency on the Israeli side, makes this as efficient as possible, because 2,000 kids, the best way to get to them is by helicopters and get them straight to our institutions. I also believe that quite a few countries would also probably like to take some of those kids and have them treated in their hospitals. So we hope to launch this ASAP.
Yeah.
You know what, he had made a very good point in that he needs to coordinate how he gets those kids out. There's UN aid trucks have been blown the hell up. You know what I'm saying? So that's a very risky thing that he's actually talking about. 2,000 helicopter flights. How many? Gosh, as I said, with the UN trucks being blown up, how many of those helicopters are going to be blown up? You know what I mean? For whatever reason, oops, we've made a mistake, or there's just some belief or suspicion that something's in there, and that zero risk tolerance of Israel, then maybe we'll see how it pans out. We'll see if those kids are out and into hospitals, the ones with cancer, sooner than Trump's plan to move. He said it's quite easy, between 1.8 and 2.2 million people. Watch this space.
You said before that the U.S. would buy Gaza, and today you just said we're not going to buy Gaza.
We're not going to have to buy. We're going to have Gaza. We don't have to buy. There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza.
What does that mean?
No reason to buy. There is nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. We're going to get it going eventually, where a lot of jobs are going to be created for the people in the Middle East. It's going to be for the people in the Middle East, but I think it could be a diamond. It could be an absolute tremendous asset for the Middle East, and you're going to have peace. It's going to bring peace in the Middle East. Gaza, the way it is right now, every 10 years you're going to have the same thing happening. I've watched it so long. All the death and destruction of Gaza. The civilization's been wiped out in Gaza. No, it's going to be a tremendous thing. It's fronting on the sea. It's going to be a great economic development job. It's going to put people to work, a lot of people to work, and those people are all going to be from the Middle East.
And just to follow up with one on that for King Abdullah, can you clarify again, sir, how do you feel about the U.S. taking Gaza, as the president said?
Well, again, this is something that we, as Arabs, will be coming to the United States with something that we're going to talk about later to discuss all these options.
And Mr. President, take it under what authority? It is sovereignty.
Under the U.S. authority.
And Mr. President, would you seek to personally develop property in Gaza after this?
No. I've had a great career in real estate.
Under what authority will you take Gaza? Under the US authority? Fair enough.
Mr. President, one of your promises on the campaign trail is to bring peace to the Middle East. It was a promise to your voters, Arab voters here. The Arab voters in the United States oppose this. What do you say to that?
Well, if you look at Michigan, where we have a large Arab population, as you know, I was just telling the King that we won. As you know, I won the Arab population. Now, when I started off, I wasn't leading, and when I finished, a few months later, we started campaigning in Michigan. And when I finished, we won it by a tremendous amount, by 30 points. So my relationship with the Arab population has been fantastic, and my relationship with the Middle East is very good with all the countries, just about all the countries. Let's see, I would say all the countries. And they all want to do something, and they want to see peace in the Middle East. So all the stories you hear about the Middle East not really wanting peace, that they want war, they want this, they want to go a certain place. Let me tell you, those stories are false. They want to have peace. I know them all very well. They want to have peace. They want to have a good life like other people. And this will be a big factor in bringing peace to the Middle East. Thank you very much, everybody.
All right, guys. Thank you, guys.
That's interesting. I think the King of Jordan was just kept on trying to say that actually we haven't actually finished our discussions about what we're actually going to agree to, or what our plan is, our united plan going forward. So he doesn't know. Trump didn't know there's going to be 2,000 children going to be taken to the hospital with cancer, taken to help in the hospital somewhere, let alone anything else. Anyway, her question was about FAFO. Fuck around, find out. Okay, so she was saying that for some reason there were some Arab Americans who thought that Trump may be a man of his word, or they may listen to them since they're supporting him. But to be fair to the guy, he was never a fan, and he was never a supporter, and he ain't the kind of man to change who he is. You know where he stands on certain things. So they FAFO. There was some delusion about what they wanted it to be. To be fair to the guy, he is who he is. He is who he is. That's it. That's one of his best qualities. He is who he is. So the Arab Americans who thought he was something else, or wanted him to be something else, or they rolled the dice thinking that, well, actually, it can't be any worse than, when everybody was telling them that, oh my gosh, yes, it can be. Well, where's that wisdom now? It's pointless bleating now. You'd have to wait 4 years and vote in a more informed way, let's put it that way, in order to change things. Yeah, Palestinians ain't got 4 years. They ain't got 4 years to wait. All this may or may not be sorted out soon. I think there's a likelihood that they're going to be taken out of that country. You know what I mean? They're going to be this utopia that Trump is talking about. You know what I mean? About where they end up. And as I say, you plan to 1.8 or 2.2 million people anywhere with no plan. Even if you had a plan, I mean, how much is that going to cost? And America ain't going to finance it. They've already said in that first press conference. But FAFO, you read it wrong. So blame yourself. And now it's too late for them, and the whole balance and the whole of the Middle East may change forever if he follows through in his plan to acquire that land. You didn't know who you were dealing with. You didn't know who you were dealing with. Do we think it's going to stop there? That's what you should be asking yourself. That's what you should be asking yourself. You have sold Lebanon down the river. You've sold Iran down the river. And it ain't going to stop there. You put 1 million people in Jordan. You don't think that they're going to be the next target of pressure and where the eye of suspicion is? And that could take that anywhere. And Egypt's quite a massive country, gateway into Africa, some may say. You're selling them down the river, or you're trying to. That's what you should be thinking of. Damage limitation right now. But also own your mistakes, lady, in terms of the Arab Americans that you referred to, in my point of view. All entitled to our point of view. But that's it. So end of the press conference. Politics is quite interesting to me anyway. So Let me know your thoughts below. Listen, I'm only giving my point of view on this. Everybody's entitled to their point of view as well. So let's just kind of keep it positive. That's not me saying you necessarily have to agree. I'm just saying we're going to be nice and polite. And if you're going to say something, then try and flesh it out with a little bit of structure and just some proof of what you're saying. You know what I mean? You might like Trump because, you know, you think that it's the best of the alternatives. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. Let's say that is Stephen, man.